You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hey listeners, it's Taylor. Our team of reporters here is hard at work on the final episode of Season 16, Episode 200, and it is going to be a good one. And sadly, their final episode with us. But this week, we're bringing you something a little different, from a voice on our team here at Meat and Three you haven't heard from much yet. I'm passing the mic to our 2024 Julia Child Foundation Writing Fellow, Ngyuen. You heard her on our Debunk-isode a bit, talking about MSG. But she's been quiet this season, mostly because she was out in the field learning about her local food system and also developing a new show at HRN. Her journey starts in the city of brotherly and sisterly love, Philadelphia. After 6 months, she's ready to talk about the story and the family that stuck with her. They run a restaurant that I cannot wait to try. So come along and let's head to Philly.
Meat and Three.
Meat and Three.
Meat and Three.
One meat, three sides.
Food, news, and storytelling.
A square meal for your ears.
Meat and Three.
And I feel like it has bones and hearts. So, and I just don't want to eat that stuff. And it comes from real animals, and I don't want to eat real animals.
What you eat, what you digest, affects your energy and how you feel, your mindset. And, that's really important. So you don't want to be later in your years suffering from the consequences from your younger days. So what you put in your body, physically and mentally, determines a lot.
We're teaching people how to eat and live better, and it just kind of grew from there. So it wasn't maybe the traditional way of someone opening up a restaurant because they knew how to cook well and whatever have you.
You just heard from 3 generations of vegans in the kitchen: granddaughter Kai, son Prince, and grandmother Surma. They, along with other members of their family, run a vegan, Caribbean-American soul food restaurant. It's called Now Cafe, and it's in Germantown, Philadelphia. This is Nourishing Change, a new podcast that explores how communities that are underinvested in determine what healthy means for them. Healthy food may look and taste different from culture to culture, individual to individual. It's not a prescription you get at the doctor, but something you have to experiment with and decide for yourself. We'll hear how folks are transforming failures of our food system into healthy solutions. By that I mean, when a bigger system fails to benefit or prioritize us, how do we take responsibility for correcting it? My name is Ngyuen, and I'm a Vietnamese American writer, traveler, and chef. And I'll be taking you on a food adventure, where I explore the questions that linger even after I'm done eating. Because after all, how satisfying is a meal without something to contemplate? First stop, Philly. It's the first place I've really felt at home. I lived there for 5 years, I'm in Jersey now, and started a vegan banh mi pop-up out of my West Philly kitchen. After a scary experience of seafood poisoning 7 years ago, I gradually stopped eating animal products. What started as a response to feeling betrayed by my local food system turned into an exciting personal quest to create the best vegan banh mi ever. As an immigrant first and vegan, I feel part of an underrepresented community. Vegan food has become so mainstream that the global cultures it grew from don't often get the credit they're due. I'm still vegan because it's a fun way to discover new things about myself. Like an open world video game that I just can't stop exploring. I get to access the nostalgia of my Vietnamese childhood with a colorful veggie twist. Then there's the payoff of the good feelings, without all the messiness. And I don't just mean the blood and guts, but the ethical debates of right and wrong. The best part about it all is how much it's inspired me to share these new discoveries with others. So whatever your dietary beliefs and practices are, join me if you're open to having a bite of what I'm having today. Following my curious nose and grumbling stomach, I visit the longest running vegan restaurant in Northwest Philly to continue our conversation with Kai, Prince, and Surama. As I open the bright green door and step inside, I first notice the towering plants reaching up to the ceiling. There's a shelf of empty 5-gallon water jugs, with water filtration humming behind it. On my right, a counter with a plastic shield, maybe a remnant of COVID. I'm greeted with a smile by someone on the other side. I sneak a peek in their open kitchen after hearing the clanking of pots and pans. While reviewing the menu, the door is opening and closing behind me as customers come and go. The pace of everything feels like a slow simmer. I order the jerk chickpea platter with cabbage and rice, gravy on top, and a German chocolate cake.
When my children were younger, it was hard to find some place to eat that was vegan that had like home cooking. So, our platters were such that you would have at home, and like a home cooked meal, and that would sustain you, that you felt full and you would want to stay on the diet. Because a lot of times people go vegan and like, I'm going to eat some salad and some beans, and then they, it's not really feeding anything else, their tastes, and then they fall off the wagon.
It's not satisfying.
Yeah. Right.
Ngyuen Cafe originally opened in the early 90s as a health food store, selling supplements and natural products. They only sold prepared foods on weekends.
You're talking about 30 years ago, there weren't many health food stores in the Black community. I mean, there were a few that I can think of, but it's not a lot, and for whatever reason, if they think that, the community didn't want that, or they feel like they could make more money with the fast foods. We were vegan when it wasn't popular. We cooked, so you can see what to do with all these vegan products. And then I think in '94 we moved to Germantown, 6008 Germantown Avenue. And, then we made more of a restaurant, just trying to bring like a healthy food, a healthy lifestyle to the community. Because in the Black community, especially, the food-related diseases, the high blood pressure and the diabetes, and not having access to, good, healthy food, or even a way of how to eat healthier.
According to NPR, people of color are about 3 times more likely than white people to identify as vegetarian. Many cite health concerns as the primary reason for their choice, not environment or animal rights. This insight signals the need for communities lacking outside investment in their food system to focus on their own well-being first and foremost. So before debating the morality of eating meat or not, maybe a simpler question we could start with is, am I healthy? Is my community healthy? What can help me or us get there? Unfortunately, health can at times be more of a business than a practice of care. And in the mid-90s, Surama had to alter her space for that reality.
Unfortunately, the health food store didn't last. I mean, once Whole Foods came in, and I don't want to blame them, so to speak, because I've shopped there myself, but it was hard to get the products as cheap as they were selling it for. And so we had like more of like a gift shop as well as the restaurant. So it's always been kind of eclectic in the sense of it was a place you can come and fulfill a lot of different things.
So how does a business sustain itself in times like that? In the 2000s, someone suggested she sell burgers and hot dogs. But that went against why she opened Ngyuen Cafe in the first place.
Yes, you want to make money, but I'm not going to make money off of the health of my community and my people. That is not why we went into business. You can stick to what you believe in, and that is not to say that we're making millions of dollars, but, I can sleep at night. I know that what I'm offering is not going to, harm you.
After Whole Foods came in the mid-90s, the next shock was COVID. Surama and Ngyuen Cafe had to pivot again.
Once COVID hit, we kind of closed the gift store, so to speak, and the bookstore, and now it's fully just the restaurant. Wow. Although the restaurant had been there all along, but
that's what withstood.
Yeah, because
why do you think that is?
Withstood. Well, I mean, I think that I mean, the food was good.
Yeah, usually it has to be at minimum.
Collard greens is universal. And some people just want to have a healthy meal once a week, and just having food that people are familiar with, and it was satisfying. I want to say that's why it continued, because, they can feed their family too,
But for her customers, the food isn't the only thing that keeps them coming back. Kamal has been a regular since the mid-90s.
The Now was important because it was a place where you kind of had community representation, an elder representation, a mid space for young adults, a space where you can, connect with people. And there might be some good advice that someone gives you. If I go to a regular market, it's just transactional. Going to a place like the Now Cafe is definitely more supportive. We have so much fast food and artificial food and, food made in a lab, food, made with additives to make it addictive or make it taste better. But the hell with all that, right? We need places that we can trust, places that are going to sustain us and keep things simplified.
Representation resonates for me because we all have specific memories related to the food that nourishes us. When I see my cultural values reflected in the food, there's a more genuine desire to trust it. Ultimately, we all just want that feeling of acceptance when we eat. When I did my pop-ups, I really appreciated support from fellow Asian Americans. It felt extra special to be seen by the folks who may have had similar experiences. And I love seeing them enjoy what I created. I did monthly pop-ups for a year, probably the most consistent creative endeavor I've ever tried. My level of patience and practice for nourishing a community is matched with granddaughter Kai. We're still learning and developing. And Surama's experience as an elder in this larger food community will serve as my compass. So as such a long-standing restaurant, I'm eager to see how Nile Cafe's story might endure. They've repeatedly adapted in response to external conditions. But what about the changes from within?
My children work in there, and I just want them to continue it, because I see how much the community depends on us as far as the customers, and to just have them continue it, because a lot of times you see family businesses, once the matriarch or the patriarch, moves on, like the children can't sustain it, and then it shuts down. So I would like them to continue it and make those bonds with the customers.
Those bonds with their customers go back 3 decades. Relationships seem to serve as the nutrient for their continuation, and not the money. I can't imagine growing that old with my customers, partly due to the temporary and sporadic nature of my pop-ups. But I won't lie, I always feel this reassurance of trust and encouragement whenever I see a customer return. Shout out to my #1 customer, Samantha. Learning about Nile Cafe's past, present, and future humbles yet challenges me to ask, what will my commitment be? I know I want to keep trying to uplift communities I care about through food. And from this one story, I recognize the importance of being firmly planted yet flexible to allow something to truly grow. As I wrap up my conversation with Surama, I get the platter I ordered. All this talk of their family's food history was condensed in that first bite of rice and jerk chickpeas smothered in gravy. My eyes smile immediately in the direction of Surama, her voice still audible as I chew. With every spoonful after, I connect to more than just the flavors and textures, but all the people and intention behind it. Their story was the meal, and the food just helped with the digestion.
We will be here once you, decide to change. Because I'll be like, I didn't know you were here. And I joke and say, yeah, it's only been 30 years. It's like, I didn't know. I said, well, you wasn't looking for us. When you're ready, you will find us.
This episode is supported by HRN Business member Crew. a sophisticated Thai restaurant serving historic dishes inspired by Thailand's royalty and aristocracy in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Crew recreates and reimagines historic dishes from ancient recipes that are marked by their surprising openness to worldly ingredients. Visit KRUBROOKLYN.com to learn more and make a reservation. Crew supports HRN's creative educational reporting and storytelling that drive conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place.
So I couldn't make an episode about Philly without a little food gossip about the iconic Philly cheesesteak. Let's say in my first version of being vegan, I was on the hunt for the best vegan banh mi in Philly. After leveling up, I'm feeling a bit more patriotic and on the lookout for vegan cheesesteaks. Here's Rebecca, a customer of Vegan Supper Club, Miss Rachel's.
The Philly vegan cheesesteak scene is ridiculous. When I first went vegan food was terrible, and it was, people made fun of it. They made fun of vegan baked goods and stuff, and I think the reason, 20 years ago, and back then I think people were trying to make vegan food that was healthy, so they were like, it's vegan, and also it doesn't have sugar, and also it's low fat, and it was like, it's a lettuce leaf, and it tastes not great. Now, there's lots of really delicious vegan food, but I think it's because people realize, you can use nuts in different creative ways, and fats, and it's delicious.
This evolution of vegan cooking has made it all the way to the meaty, cheesy sandwiches Philadelphians and tourists love. Vegan food historian and journalist Vance Lemko says we have someone by the name of Alphonse Austin to thank for the first vegetarian and vegan cheesesteaks. Before I drop my ranking of vegan cheesesteaks, here's a quick history about Alphonse.
Alphonse was not like the sole pioneer in the nation or anything that was doing this, but she was one of a small number of people that actually worked to bring vegetarian and vegan food out of that trough that it had been in by being something that you ate and you enjoyed the virtue of eating it rather than enjoying the food itself. Alphonse had this concept that she wanted to help people get healthy, but she knew that you could make food as healthy as you want, but it didn't matter if people didn't eat it. So she made foods that people were used to eating, like in the Reading Terminal, going and getting a corned beef sandwich or a bologna sandwich or a cheesesteak, but made them healthier than their counterparts by making them plant-based and finding ways to mimic different things. She made her own seitan from scratch, so all this bologna, corned beef, cheesesteak stuff. Alphonse got people to recognize that an individual food item, you could replace an animal-based one with a plant-based one.
Alphonse Austin operated her plant-based stall in the famous Reading Terminal Market from 1981 to 2012. It was the first Black-owned business in the market. Customers could order one of the first regular menu vegetarian cheesesteaks in town, which she veganized by 2000. She applied her skills and past experience as a dietitian to create items like this on the menu. So are you ready? Here's my ranking of the 3 vegan cheesesteaks that I've recently tried. And FYI, I'm not financially affiliated with any of these places. They all use seitan as a substitute for steak. For those who don't know, seitan is a wheat gluten that has roots in Japanese, Chinese, and Vietnamese Buddhist vegetarian cuisine, often used as a mock meat. It's chewy with potential for flavor. My top pick is Hibiscus Cafe in West Philly. They use sauteed peppers and onions, which makes it overall more flavorful. An omnivore friend visiting preferred it over their meat one. It's also the most affordable at $10. Best to wash it down with their fruit smoothies. Number 2 is Monk's Cafe in Center City. Their atmosphere and beer collection is top-notch to pair with a cheesesteak that doesn't go overboard with the vegan cheese. There's enough to get the mouthfeel of cheese without the weird oil feels. Love that it came with a salad for balance. My least favorite was Triangle Tavern in South Philly, a favorite for some vegans I spoke with. This bar has a separate vegan menu. I'd say the bread had a nice outer crust, but the seitan filling was oversalted, without anything fresh or acidic to counteract it. It was difficult to continue eating, but to be fair, I scarfed it down in my car without any refreshing drinks. They have great food otherwise, I just didn't like this sandwich. And I'll state for the record that I still consider banh mi one of the best sandwiches ever created, and I could probably eat it every day. Cheesesteaks feel more like a treat, Because let's keep it real, not all vegan foods are healthy. If you know of a vegan cheesesteak that challenges my picks, I'd love to hear about it. You can write to me at ideas@meatand3.nyc. That's all spelled out. Thanks for tuning in. This episode was informed by countless interviews and conversations with people throughout the local Philly food system, including chefs, nonprofits, journalists, government employees, urban farms, food distributors, and educational institutions. Special thanks for your time and sharing your story. This episode was produced by me, Ngyuen. I had support from Taylor Early and H. Conley. Our audio engineer for this episode was Sam Girardi.
Well, you heard Luan. That's our show. Thank you so much for listening. We are incredibly grateful to Luan for her insights, curiosity, and willingness to share herself with us at Meat and Three. From one former Julia Child Foundation writing fellow to another, I can't wait to follow your journey, Luan, as you continue to build community through vegan pop-ups and your beautiful storytelling. If you too, sweet listener, want to follow along with Luan's adventures beyond HRN, check out our show notes. And stay tuned for episode 200.